guys. So we sat down with Sesta of the illustrious Funkoars crew today. Massive hip hop group. They have some of the funniest songs you'll ever hear. Hard rap. It was so good to sit down with him. Literally one of my favorite Australian hip hop groups of all time. They were the first ones that made me absolutely love that whole genre. We got the origin story of the Funkoars, how Seti got into music, how he connected with Trials, and just we got some classic backstage stories, some of the chaos that went on over the years of them touring. This was a really good one. I enjoyed every minute of it. He's one of the funniest dudes you'll come across, and I hope you enjoy this episode of A Quick Razz. Okay. How you doing, mate?
Yeah, I'm all right. How are you?
Very well, thank you. Very well.
Thanks for asking.
Right. What a treat. Got you on the black couch.
You got me on the black couch. You know, we've been highly sought after for a long time. You got me. You nailed me down. I'm expecting some uncomfortable questions, but let's do it.
Let's go. Mate, you guys have been around for a while. My introduction to you guys was a friend from school had a gold iPod with the most classic Aussie hip hop ever.
Yeah.
So when I moved in with him, all we ever listened to was this gold iPod mini.
Yeah.
Now, Triple J had The Hangover as the album of the week.
Fuck, did they?
They did.
That doesn't ring a bell, but it seems right.
I was stuck working out of the office, cleaning the work van, so I got to listen to that non-stop. So that was my main introduction to you guys, and then I had the blessing of finding the older stuff.
Like the Stepdaddy and that.
And the greatest hits.
Oh yeah, there was greatest hits before that too, yeah. That's crazy that Triple J put that as album of the week. What were they thinking?
You guys were just dribbling shit, introducing every song. It was quite funny.
Oh, that's right, yeah.
When did you guys all get together and start as a group?
Well, it would have been late, it must have been the late 90s when we first met each other, must have been, late 90s or 2000, something like that. I would have been 18, 19, teen that same, 17, 18. We met essentially online. So this is the early days of internet. It wasn't social media and that, but a lot of dudes met on the online chat rooms and forums and stuff. IRC, a lot of people used that at the time. It's just like chat rooms. And there was a hip hop one. And because I remember when I first used the internet, this is dial-up, mid-90s, you had IRC, which is these chat rooms, and I couldn't believe that you had these different topics that you could just go in and chat to other people. And it blew my mind that there was ones that were local, just with Australian hip hop. I didn't even know at the time that there was Australian hip hop, you know what I mean? The people I went to high school with, the side of the town I grew up on, it wasn't that way orientated. And I remember I'd chat to T there one day. I remember even Simo was there. A lot of people don't know that a lot of the producers and hip hop people from back then are fucking nerds. They were nerds, but I guess you kind of in a way had to be, because you had to know how to make beats and stuff like that. And I still have a memory of was it Culture Kings, the first one, and Terra Firma had that Shadow Society song, I think it was. It was all just a beatbox, was the beat. And I remember talking to Simo before I even met him online, saying, how did you fucking make this beat? And he's just like, MIDI, bro. Like the least detailed response. And I'm like, MIDI? What do you mean? What does that even mean? And at the time, like, I had no idea how to make beats, you know. Going, like, a bit before then, I had no idea how to make beats. And I remember asking a friend of mine who was a DJ, I'm like, like, these hip-hop tracks, how do people make the sound behind? You couldn't just Google it. I'm like, how do they make the sound behind that? And he's like, oh, just with turntables. I'm like, what do you mean? I don't get it. Like, and I eventually found out that, you know, you had to have a particular device to do it. We were using software. I started off using a program called Acid, which was like a very simple version of like Logic, where you've got your tracks and loops and that kind of shit. Yeah, but I talked to T in there one day, and, you know, we're just sort of going back and forth, discussing shit, hip hop that we both liked. He had a far greater knowledge of shit than I did. You know, I grew up listening to fucking Naughty by Nature, Tupac, Fushnikins. Like, I had a very limited fucking exposure. T knew fucking everything, you know? And we would just chat, and then not long after that, he's like, you know, let's hook up. Let's just, you know, we'll just hang out. And he lived down south, Morford Vale, which to me was like a fucking another state, you know. Yeah. I lived in Brompton, which is, you know, just near the city. So after work on Fridays, I would cruise down South Road to Morford Vale and just hang out with T. And we'd just listen to hip hop. We would exchange what we knew on making beats, you know, and that's all we did. Like, it was just constantly making beats, the art of sampling, talking about samples. Just, we were fucking like obsessed with it, you know, just making beats all the time. Yeah, and so that just, you know, we made a few dumb tracks. Yeah, like I was not even really that familiar with the whole concept of writing. You know, before that, I'd only ever made like joke tracks with my buddy from high school. We'd make satirical tracks. Like, I would make some beat and we'd essentially just freestyle these tracks as characters. Like, he had his dad was just this super Greek dude, thick Greek accent, and we made up this whole backstory about being a Greek villager warrior, and we would just do these stupid fucking tracks, but we used to laugh so much until it hurt. That was my background. All I ever wanted to do was satirical, funny shit. That's all I ever wanted to do, you know? And so when I met T, we were like, sort of, he was making tracks with another dude, and it was a bit more serious, you know, and I never had interest in making serious music ever. Like, you know, there's a place for politically conscious music and stuff, but it's just, that was never me, you know. We're only ever about having fun and that kind of shit. And yeah, so it came from there. He went to school with Hans, you know, so we would make these tracks, and he's like, oh, check out, I forget what track it was. Oh, that's right, yeah. We had, you know, CS9, Conversion Crew 69. It was all his buddies from like the South Side and shit, and I was sort of like, you know, I was allowed to be a part of that. And we were just making just ridiculous tracks about the shit we were doing, which at the time was drinking a lot. Yeah. Like, I would go there on Friday. I was not even a big drinker before then, but I would go to his place on Friday and we would get fucked up, you know, like we would get so drunk, and he just knew everybody in Morford Vale, like, and what is it, Hackham, all that. This is all foreign areas to me. He knew everyone, so we would just get fucked up and just go for a walk on a Friday night through Morford Vale and all those areas, and there was just parties on everywhere. And we just walked from one party to the other. And I just couldn't believe it. Everyone knew T. T knew everyone, you know, and I was just along for the ride. And man, like we felt, you felt like invulnerable walking around with T. Like we'd just get drunk and float around the area, somehow end up back at his place. And yeah, wake up and I'd go home and recover and, start again the next week. Yeah, and that's all our music was at the time. Like it was, and then during the week we'd just be making beats, sending each other beats. We always had like a pretty friendly, competitive nature to our beats. Like, check out this. He's like, yeah, cool, check out this. And then it was sort of like a little, I guess, a compliment if one of these beats was like, if I wrote to one of his beats or he wrote to one of my beats, or I might write to my own beat and be like, let's try this. And he's like, yeah, fuck yeah, let's do that. And then that's how the tracks would just come along. And that's how we ended up eventually doing Stepdaddy. Like, it was just born of all that crap. Just, drinking and just being confident, overly confident little suckers, Which was funny because we weren't confident kids, We were such awkward little, like, undiagnosed ADHD autistic kids in hindsight, you know what I mean? And we're just like focusing on these tracks, and that was like our little outlet because we were such awkward little fuckers,
Hyper fixated, and it became a superpower.
Yeah, like it was, but like that was the only thing that mattered to us at the time, And that was 2003 that album came out. We were guided by Kirk Ray. He was our manager at the time. He was like, and that was a crazy concept to me. He's like, manager, what do we need? Like, what's going on? But he kind of helped just herd us and be like, this is what you're going to do. Here's the artwork, all that shit, Yeah. And that's how we eventually came out with the first album,
Fuck, he must have had his hands full with the tours and stuff back then with you guys.
Yeah. He was very much a fatherly figure to us, like just keeping it all organised, But we kind of always needed that. We needed someone to just be like, to take the responsibility off us so we could just continue acting like children, you know what I mean? But that was all part of the energy of it, like just being stupid kids, But that's how that all came about. Like it.
You guys play any shows, like get up on stage before you dropped Stepdaddy?
I can't remember. Hey, like I don't know. I feel like the first time, it might have been the first Culture of Kings. That was obviously before Stepdaddy, and it was like the biggest thing to happen in hip hop at the time. It was like this really cool compilation. We were a very tight unit at the time, and we didn't have the album by then. Maybe we were working on it. I can't remember. But we went over to Melbourne to go see the launch of Culture of Kings. And so me, Hans, and T got on the train, the Overlander, I think it's called, that goes to Melbourne. This was our first trip out of Adelaide. And it seemed like a massive thing to do at the time. We got on the train, which was a pretty traumatic experience in hindsight, being on that fucking train for 12 hours. Oh, no one's sleeping. Of course, we had to drink the whole time. They had a smoker's car at the back where that's where you had to go to smoke, but we just sat there the whole time getting absolutely fucked up. Just sat there talking to whoever would come in to smoke. And we got there, and I remember T got on stage and rapped with, I can't remember who it was, if it was Terra Firma or Hoods or something, I can't remember. But that was the first time I think I ever saw him on stage. None of us had really performed at the time. But I don't I don't think we had really been on stage much before that album. Afterwards, we did lots of little shows here and there and everywhere around Adelaide. It was, I think Rhino Room was one. I don't know if that came later. The details are sketchy. I barely remember what the fuck happened. I remember it was like whatever, what was it called? Traffic at the time, where on North Terrace there, I think it is. There'd be the odd show that we'd get up and do like tracks and stuff, but again, we were always so fucked up. I can't remember the details of where and when. It was just like, all right, we've got a show, we're going to do it. you know, these things are just sort of being organised and we're just going along with it, you know. But that's just kind of forged the way that we performed. It was just always like high energy, chaos, you know, very intoxicated to the point, like we became the most functional drinkers, I think, even to this day that I've ever met. Like we would just drink so much, but we could still hold our shit together. Maybe it felt like we're holding our shit together. Maybe if I looked at the footage now, we weren't holding our shit together, but it felt like we were. And, you know, we just did so many shows after drinking so much that it just became like
the drunk calls, right?
Yeah, it's just what we did, and it was like we got the crowds involved. The energy was always super fucking high, you know, and we just couldn't do it any other way. It was just that we had to have that energy, you know. Yeah, it's just like sometimes you'd see other groups, and you know, you're like, like there's just where's the energy? Like, what's going on here? Like, you know, it was like it was hard work, really fucking hard work. But yeah, it was awesome. It was really good.
First time I saw you guys live was at Eclipsal, which, you know, that crowd, car racing V8 fans.
Yeah. And, who would have been there to see the hoods, no doubt.
Well,
and they get these assholes on stage.
But
like,
the stage, you guys have always had great stage presence, whether I've seen you at the Gov, Thebby or Clipsal. Is that something that, you know, you talk about your energy on stage and stuff like that? It was always fun. That seems to be something that was quite important for you guys as a group.
Yeah, well, it almost felt like it was cheating a bit because it was like so high energy. You couldn't leave any gaps open for anything to go wrong. You know what I mean? Like it was just, we had our songs that we would do. We'd fill the bits up with, you know, crowd back and forths. There'd be room for a little bit of chaos, but we always knew how to keep it under control. We'd never let the crowd take control. Like we were always making sure we were the dominant ones in this chaotic back and forth that was going on. But yeah, like without that, it just didn't work. Sometimes, like the occasional time we might have done like a daytime show, or you know, just if the party vibe wasn't quite right, it was just awkward. It just wasn't right. You know, we could never do, like, you know, there's groups that can do that shit. But we just weren't one of those groups. It just had to always be chaos, high energy, you know, to the point that something could really go wrong and, you know, hurt each other. And like, yeah, like it was just the only way we knew how to do it. It felt right, felt smooth. When things were out of control, chaotic, it felt smooth, you know? Yeah.
I'm 36 this year, so it'll be the 36th birthday. You guys got me up on stage and sang me happy birthday about 10 years ago, and it's still the top thing that's ever I got to experience.
Yeah.
That's also when I knocked the microphone into Pato's mouth and chipped his tooth on stage at the Gov many moons ago.
Yeah, I mean, that happens. I think, I've chipped someone's tooth with a microphone before. I remember, I don't know, details are sketchy, but yeah, people often got hurt. I remember I broke Honson's ribs on one show. Like, I was, you know, getting a bit excited as I often did, but I think I grabbed him and I put him on the ground, and like he's still rapping and I'm just fucking like that, and I've put my knee on his fucking chest and thought it was a good idea to start bouncing on his fucking chest. And like he didn't feel right afterwards. He was in like a lot of pain the next day, and as usual, we probably just told him to shut the fuck up, like whatever. During the week, he probably got back to me like, hey, I just got back from the doctors, I've actually got a broken rib, hey? And it's like, oh, fuck, man, I'm really sorry. Like, I really felt bad after that. But at the time, it's just like, I don't know, you're in battle. It's like, fucking keep your hands up, you know? Yeah.
You must have seen some wild shit over the years at the shows. Is there anything that sticks out as, you know, you maybe like a shit, or, you know, one of the funnier things you've seen on tour?
Like,
I've heard about competitions where you guys would jump and try and break plastic chairs.
Fuck. See, things like that I don't even remember.
Maybe
Like,
a double bass was involved.
oh, yeah, that was a Backstage thing. Yeah. That was, yeah, what tour was that? When we were like on tour with, oh, I forget their names now. But it was like, they're not I guess a hip hop group like we are a hip hop group. They might have been a band with a singer that does the occasional rhyme. I forget what they're called, but yeah, they had all these expensive instruments and shit backstage, and we were such fucking chaotic assholes all the time, you know? Like, nice guys, but fuck, we just, I don't know. We just didn't settle. Like, you know, come sound check, we're already half in the bag, trying to, you know, make the most of the night. And I think, yeah, Honson had done he jumped off something. He landed on someone's vintage double bass and broke it. And yeah, I don't remember exactly, but it was something like that. That might have been the same tour we were on with Bliss and Esso, maybe. You know, and that's like, it's one of those things where you start to see the difference between us and maybe groups that are like really professionals. You know what I mean? Like, I remember being backstage, and Bliss and Esso were locked off in a room somewhere, and we could hear them doing vocal warm-ups. Oh, la 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 la. We're like, what the fuck is going on here? He's like, and we're like, damn, do you need to do that? It's like, maybe if I did that, I wouldn't lose my voice after every show. It's like, maybe that's what you're supposed to do. Maybe that's what professionals do. But, you know, we just, I thought, whatever, we'll just keep going. Keep doing what we're doing, whatever. Yeah. Yeah, but no, like, as for crazy stuff, it felt like that was just part of it. Like, I don't know, the craziest shit that happened would never really, we wanted crazy shit to happen during shows. It was just mental. Like, nothing particular stands out. Yeah, like during the shows, and often like it just felt like you blacked out during the shows, you know, like, because we just would do a similar set, wait for some unusual shit to happen, and we just handle it. But that was our favorite shit when things like that happen. Yeah, but it was, you know, the craziest shit was usually what went down around the shows, you know, like before the shows and after the shows, and the crazy shit that eventually we learnt that, especially me and T, learnt that, like, you know, in order to survive after the shows, we have to go back to the hotel. Yeah. Like, just go back to the hotel, have something to eat, have a shower, just fucking chill, play some Nintendo, Wii.
Maybe tap some TVs in hotel rooms.
Yeah, oh, that was always fun. Like
turn some paintings upside down.
But yeah, right. Yeah, there must still be paintings out there in some hotel rooms with some wild shit written on the back of them. Some really bad shit written on the back. So, oh, this is the worst shit ever, and then hang the picture back up. Yeah, like littering there was one time every cheap hotel has a Bible in the drawer. I remember once we thought it would be hilarious to rip out every single individual page and like carpet the floor with the pages. We thought that kind of shit we thought was hilarious. Yeah. And that got us in trouble. Yeah, there was definitely times we had to pay for shit. Yeah, the worst was probably when, and I don't even know what the circumstances leading up to it was, but we'd got back from a show and it was a nice hotel. And we were with Fuad, you know, DJ Adfu, and I'm not sure what it was that Honson had done to upset him. Probably nothing. Yeah. Probably gone to bed. That was probably what upset him. And he thought it would be hilarious to unload the fire extinguisher underneath the door into his room. Yeah, and so he did that, and that's the only time I've been around the fire extinguisher fumes. They're stifling. You can't breathe. It's like it soaks up your soul. And like, yeah, so he basically unloaded the whole fire extinguisher into the room, into Honson's room while he's trying to sleep, not realizing that that's the shit that actually sets off the fire alarm.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, so it sets off the fire alarm, and this is a big hotel, right? So if there's a fire alarm that goes off in a big hotel, this is like 1 o'clock in the morning, maybe from memory. I don't know, 1, 2 o'clock in the morning, the alarm goes off. And when alarm goes off, everyone has to leave the hotel, right? And so this reality is slowly sinking into us, highly intoxicated individuals, and we're like, fuck, we got to go. Like, we have to go. Like, we can't stay here. There's no other option but to leave. And it's like, but our shit is all here. Everything's here. So we just like, me and T just ran into the room, grabbed what we could, chucked it in the bag. And it's like, a movie or the Hitman video game where you just kind of got to walk out. You know, everyone's leaving. Everyone's leaving the hotel. You've got kids in pajamas and shit. Parents wiping their eyes and stay calm. And we're just walking with the crowd like that's what we're supposed to be. Like, oh, I wonder what's going on here. And we're like, we have to go. And so we're like, well, our flight is not until 9 o'clock the next morning, whatever. But it's like, we have no other option. Let's just go to the airport. And so I just have vague memories of walking. This was in Melbourne. And I remember it was really foggy and there's just like fog all across the city. And we're just like walking through the fog, leaving these crowds that have all congregated outside the hotel, and we're like, fuck, let's just boost out of here. Let's stay calm. It's all good. Get to the road. We look back into our room because we had a view of our room somehow. I could see, and I just remember seeing Honson sitting in the room, and he's surrounded by staff, and they're talking to him, and it was just classic Honson style, like as if they're inconveniencing him. Like he's just looking really angry. Like, why are you guys talking to me? Like I was asleep. And I remember T being like, man, Seti, the cab drivers are not going to stop for me, man. You have to hail the taxi. They see me, they're not going to stop. I'm like, yeah, cool, whatever, man. And managed to hail a cab, have my shit. Taxi driver stops. I get in, and T just emerges from the bushes, comes to the taxi. Sits in, the taxi driver looks at him and he's like, I see you, face man. And that I don't know what the fuck he meant, face man. I don't know. But that became a joke for the next 10 years. Yeah. But yeah, we made it to the airport. I'm sure I'm forgetting whatever else. I don't know what the fuck happened to Fuad. I think it was. Anyway, we got to the airport and just sat by the gate and hoped for the best. We ended up having to pay lots of money because fire engines came. Yeah, that's right. I remember seeing, fire engines were it was like a movie. Fire engines in the opposite direction as we're getting the fuck out of there. Yeah. So we thought we had won. We're like, yeah, we did it again. We drank our way out of another problem yet again. But no, there was lots of phone calls and shit waiting for us when we got back to Adelaide. Yeah. And big bills. There was often big bills. Yeah. We were horrible in hotel rooms. But it was all part of the fun. No one died.
It's the rock star shit that you always hear about from...
but less glamorous, way less glamorous. Yeah. Less women and less drugs. Well, yeah. Yeah, just more bills. Yeah.
With greatest hits, there's so many classic lines and songs on that. One thing that I've always wondered, what do you think Swank Steadley's up to these days?
Yeah, Swank Steadley, yeah. Was that the one with the English accent?
That was the lead up to Cunt of the Year Awards.
Yeah, that's right, yeah. Yeah, I don't know, I think he died of a ketamine overdose, I would say, after he kicked his cocaine addiction and just died from a ketamine overdose. Yeah, no, I don't know. But yeah, that was always the shit that we like to do the most, was the stupid fucking voices, the skits. There's no room for that in music anymore. Who the fuck wants to hear us? There probably wasn't even room for it back then.
Oh, no, there was.
We loved it. We loved the skits, but yeah, I don't know, I feel like, I don't know if that was just annoyed people, but that was just the shit we loved, a lot of the... music I loved always had skits in it. I grew up listening to fucking satirical music and just, dumb shit. But I often think of, Biggie's track Kick in the Door. You got to fast forward through a minute to get to the fucking song that you want. And it's like, fuck, we did that. That's kind of... Or did we put the track marker so you could just play the song.
Track marker, and then
see, that's polite. That's a nice thing to do. But the art of the skit is a dying thing. I think I don't know who the fuck does skits anymore. It's
No, they were always good fun and a good laugh.
Yeah. Well, I remember for our Adelaide show, it must have been the album launch for Greatest Hits. We did like a whole video that plays before we come out on stage, like as if someone's come backstage and like is talking to us. We recorded this whole skit to unfold live, which we managed to do somehow. I can't remember exactly what happened in it, but yeah, we were always about our skits and just dumb shit, like ridiculous shit. That was all we ever wanted to do, is just make people laugh, say the most offensive shit possible at the same time. That's what we're all about. That was our favorite shit.
Well, I think you guys would do that, and I think one of your best talents was being able to say some of the wildest shit, the stuff that would make you laugh out loud, but the bars would hit so heavy, and the way you put it together, like, I can't rap. I've done one rap song, and that was with Ben Martin and K21. I finished my verse with "Kick you in the dick with a spinning back kick," so that probably says it all right there.
I don't know.
How did you get to, like, when you sit down to write?
Yeah.
What was your process like? Would you have a funny line and then build around it, or?
No, in general, it was like we were always beat first kind of songwriters. Like I say, it was always me and T sending beats back and forth. If you really vibed with one, for me personally, it was like chuck the beat on, sit down, and you just lock into this beat. Like you play it over and over and over again, and words and flows would just come to you. You know, it's really a flow first. You know, how you're going to rap on this beat, and the words kind of start, you know, like just locking together, you know. And I'd sit there for hours just trying to get that to happen. And then it would be like, oh, you know, you'd think of a certain funny thing to say, and then you'd be like, all right, okay, I've got to rhyme. This has to rhyme with something. And then when it would lock together, it was just such a like rewarding feeling where the words would just lock together, and it was just the opposite if they couldn't. You'd sit there for hours and it just wouldn't come to you. Or it would come to you, and then you'd listen to it again and be like, that's not that good. Like we were our own worst enemies, and it was, I guess, the filter that we'd put it through and allow shit to get out was very high. Like we were very critical of ourselves, and like, I mean, our rhymes were self-deprecating, but there was another level of self-deprecation that you don't see, which is us, like just the standards of what we would let get out, you know. And that came back to also like me and T's just like what would impress each other, you know. Like if I show him something and I can tell it didn't really resonate with him, and he'd tell me it's dope, but I could tell that like it wasn't like when I'd show him something that he really liked, and he's like, yeah, we're doing this, we're rolling with this, we're using this. And same when he'd show me something.
And if you guys made each other laugh, then you know you're onto something.
Yeah. It was always about that. Like we got to make each other laugh and say the most shocking shit, especially at the start. It was always like, what's the most shocking shit we could say? Because it felt like there was nobody else really doing it in Australia either at the time. Like, yeah, there was some pretty crass shit out there, but I don't think there was anyone really taking it to the levels that we were taking it to, as far as like horrible shit, like just sexually aggressive, like just wild shit, you know. But it was funny. We never said it with like a serious tone. It was always a joke. Like it was satirical shit. But it was always a serious. It was a serious thing when you're sitting down to write. I mean, there was often times where, say, I'd just be driving around and a line would come to me, like, you know, something, oh, that's sort of funny. Or like you're having a shower and something pops in your head, you're like, oh, that's sort of funny. I'll put that in a rhyme, you know, and you might write it down or write it in your phone and, you know, try to make it work later. But I feel like the best shit was just kind of spontaneous at the time. You know what I mean? And a lot of it was just personal jokes as well. So like touring together so much, there was so many in jokes. You know, like Suffer used to give us shit about he couldn't hang out with us because nothing made sense. Like all we would do was just in jokes all the time, and it was just like probably uncomfortable for other people to be around, you know. And I feel like that was that especially in our later music emerged. It's like, what the fuck are they talking about? And it was just our in jokes, you know what I mean. And a lot of it just wouldn't make sense to people, but that was just what we were doing because we're making each other laugh. You know what I mean? We never really cared about what other people's expectations were of us. You know, we were just trying to make each other laugh. We weren't trying to be well known or famous or anything like that. And, you know, thank God that we fucking did that shit before social media came around, where it became like, you know, everything's become promote your own personal brand and all that kind of shit and algorithmic shit. It just wasn't a thing then, which was awesome. It was just like albums and songs and, you know, you're working on a fucking song and you just want that song to be really good and you want your peers to be like, fuck, that's a really good beat. That was my main concern. I wanted people to hear my beats and be like, oh man, that's a fucking sick beat. Just like I heard other people's beats, like, fuck, how do you make that? Yeah, and then the rhymes were secondary, but like, yeah, but that also became such an important thing for us as well. We didn't want people to be able to poke holes in what we were doing technically. We wanted to be the best at that. You know, we didn't want to be famous. We didn't want people to be like in a position where they'd be like, oh, our shit's better than that. Or, you know, that's whack. Like we wanted to be the best rappers, the best producers, you know? That was all that mattered to us. And yeah, like I think that doesn't seem to matter for a lot of people. And you can tell it's more about brand perception and shit and, you know, trying to become something, you know, that was just never our thing. And I, you know, as hard as it is, sometimes when I listen to the older stuff, I'll hear it and it's like, whoa, that's a tough listen. That's fucking tough. Some shit I hear, I'm like, fuck, this kind of still stands up. This is not that fucking bad. This is all right. I'm proud of this. Yeah, but as I say, some of it, I'm like, what the fuck were we thinking? Oh boy. Oh boy. Why did we say that? Okay. Guess you had to be there at the time. And, you know, out of context, it could sound a little insane.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Your production, like, I know a few years ago you'd always be putting up your videos on your MPCs and stuff.
Yeah.
You still
yeah,
producing
yeah,
stuff?
Yeah. I mean, I've always loved making beats. I still do. I don't get as much time as I would like to, but like it tickles a part of my brain I really love. I love listening to samples and just being like, how can I use this? You know, when you're listening to a song, it'll have a certain energy to it. You know, because you're not looking to copy a song. Like, sure, sometimes you might hear a sample and be like, I just have to loop that, and that's fucking cool. But most of the time, you're listening to something and you're like, I like the energy of that, or I like just the way that bass line sounds, and that's why the MPC is so cool because there's nothing better as far as getting that sample, recording it directly into this thing. You don't have to touch a mouse or anything. You're chopping it up. Just whack on some drums, figure that shit out later, but you're just jamming out a sample. That was my favorite shit, where you put the best part of the loop on these 16 pads and just keep jamming, get weird rhythms, the way that it might, the timing might be different when you change the speed from the original song that you've sampled once it's playing on the drums you've got. Just the weird shit you can come up with. And then when it hits, it's like such a nice feeling. It's like, oh, this is awesome. Yeah, and so then you've got that, and you loop that up, and it's like, oh, and then you love that, and it's like, well, now I want to rhyme on it. And that whole process was just so cool. Like, I loved it. I still love it. But yeah, as far as making beats, I still do it. I still like doing it. Yeah, like I'll always love doing that. It's just such a nice feeling. Yeah. It's a shame you don't. I know there's still people out there that do it, but I just feel like it doesn't feel like it gets pushed a lot, especially the sample-based production. You know, it's an art that I don't think a lot of people appreciate. Like it's a really cool thing.
Yeah, there's definitely a difference in hip hop from the 90s to what the young lads play at work now. I don't even understand it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, but like it has its own place, you know. Like I never really understood. Like I'm terrible for like something could come out and I'll be like, "What is this? This is shit." And then 5 years later, when everyone's moved on, I'm like, "Fuck, this shit's alright, eh?" Like five years later,
Yeah.
I'm like, "Oh man, what the fuck? This is not actually that bad." Now I don't know if it's maybe I just have I have trouble liking things everyone else likes. I don't know. But like my 9-year-old, he has been listening to XXX Tentacion.
Oh yeah.
Who I call XXX extension cord.
That's what yeah. XXX extension, yeah.
And when that came out, I just didn't get it. I'm like, what the fuck is going on here?
Yeah.
But you know, I'll often sit there and play some GTA with my kid, and you know, we'll chuck whatever he wants on the HomePod. And so, you know, I can be in a different state of mind while listening to this music, and it's different. But I start to see what it is. It's like, I don't know, especially I feel like with a lot of newer, and I say newer even though this is fucking 5, 6, 7, 8 years old now, that kind of music. It's more atmospheric. I've always loved high energy, aggressive hip hop, right? That's always been my thing. Whereas a lot of this, especially like, you know, American trap or whatever whatever the hell is coming out now. It's more, feels more, some of it's really aggressive, but a lot of it's more atmospheric, relaxed, not wordy. Like you don't even know what the fuck they're saying, they're mumbling.
Yeah.
And you know, people like to put down mumble rap, but I kind of get it now.
We sound like those old guys right now.
Yeah, I know. I know. But the thing is, I don't mind it. You know, like I have come around to it. I'm like, this actually is not that bad. I do kind of enjoy it, and I'm open to that. And I listen to it, and it's like, yeah, if you're in the right state of mind, this is kind of good, you know. But you know, nothing will ever beat the aggressive shit for me. Like it's, But
Big L's my favorite, and I'll listen to him regularly. And some of those lyrics, there's no way they would ever be allowed out in 2025.
No, and yeah, Big L was another one that like I just remember listening to it, being like, what the fuck? Like it's so clever, and it's like I guess for people to listen to that now, maybe younger people listening to that now, I've heard it being accused of being too wordy. You know what I mean? But that was what I liked about it. It was like so clever, because not only was the flow there, he's like saying something really cutting, and like.
Just ask Beavis. I get nothing but head is one of my favorite fucking lines.
Yeah, I know. It's unbelievable. Like, and you know, I still like listening to that shit now and again. But when you hear someone who's very wordy and clever, it stands out to me instantly. Like, you know, I don't know if you listen to much of DaBaby.
I have, yeah. Tease sent me a few of his tracks.
Like I love, like he's so fucking good. Like his flow is unbelievable, you know. And like on the surface, it'd be easy to just cast that aside with everything else that was coming out, which you know it's not new now, but like at the time. But you listen to it, it's like holy shit! Like this dude can rap so fucking good, and like he's just saying like you know the shit that he's saying is clever and it's funny, it's hilarious. You know, I always love someone with personality and like clever shit. Like, yeah, you Big L's. Yeah, Sean Price was like the master of it. To just say effortless shit, and it was just the character comes through, and it's just hilarious. You know, you just don't hear a lot of that. It's not really a thing people are after. I don't know what it is, but you just don't hear a lot of it. Maybe it's out there, and I'm just not paying attention. You know, I don't pay attention to a lot. I am one of those old guys. I listen to like the same 3 60s, 70s rock groups on repeat and really aggressive drum and bass. You know, like that's what I listen to most of the time. And then if I'm in the mood, I'll play some hip hop, you know. But it's usually old hip hop, you know. I do try to listen to new stuff, but like I need it given to me. Like I don't even know how people find shit out these days.
TikTok and Instagram reels, I've heard.
Yeah, like I will see, like even like especially with Australian stuff, like I'll see something pop up on Instagram, you know, mainly, sometimes Instagram or TikTok or something, and I'll see a clip. I'm like, yeah, this is cool, but like I won't go and download. I don't know if people even download the tracks. I don't know, Like you'll see a clip and be like, yeah, this is cool. But like an interesting thing is you'll see someone who's got like a cool track, and or like a clip of that track will be released, but they'll release that clip over and over and over again with a slightly different visuals. Like I don't know if that's a thing where it's like, I don't know, they just keep pumping out the same content that's slightly different because they want it to click algorithmically. I don't know. It's fucking confusing. Like I don't know. Yeah, I don't know.
The game has definitely changed.
It has. Especially because I just, like I said, I just like to listen to tracks obsessively over and over and over again. Once I get a track, I'll just listen to it. It's something that I like. I'll listen to it nonstop for weeks.
Yeah, I kill it. If I hear a song that I like, I'll play it that many times that like I can't. I'll hear it 6 months later, and I'm like, I clocked that 1,000 times.
Like, I know. Yeah. It's you kind of ruin it for yourself. Like I was like that when I first heard Ocean Wisdom. I don't know if you're familiar with Ocean Wisdom. So good. Yeah, it's like when I first heard that, I'm like, holy shit! Like beat's amazing. Rhyming is the best I've almost ever heard. Well, I don't know what the fuck he's rapping about, but that's really, like, as much as I love wordy shit.
You see more fights than Joe Rogan.
Like Joe Rogan said. Like, it's as much as I do like clever wordy shit, I will also like shit that I have no idea what's being said because the flow's that good and the vibe is that good. But yeah, like, I just played it so much that, like, you just can't hear it anymore. I think the only group that's impervious to that, like, that you can never get sick of, is the Beatles. I'll just listen to that like nonstop, not like that's the Beatles, the greatest ever. But I'm always open to hear new shit. It's just so rare that I'll hear something that I click with so badly that I have to obsessively listen to it. You know what I mean? Yeah.
So we put some question boxes up, right? And there was a very similar theme across.
It was a very similar theme. I put one up myself. Yeah.
I have picked some that I thought I'd ask you.
Oh, you got little cards too.
I've got little cards,
damn,
mate.
like,
I'm not going to pretend like this was my idea, but these cards.
Like a game show.
And I think you'll recognise some of these.
Yeah.
So the first one is,
yes.
How do you say Saturday in Portuguese?
Yeah. I'm familiar with this one. That goes back to Simo, Simplex. He would always come up to me and say, "Hey, Sesta, Sesta in Portuguese is Wednesday, right?" And I was like, this joke went on for like 20 years.
Yeah.
It's like every time I'd see him, he'd be like, "Sesta, that means Wednesday in Portuguese." Yeah. So that's what that's all about. Yeah. But yeah, Simo, he's been around for a long time. In fact, I wonder if he's still alive. Didn't they just have a storm lately? Did he maybe get float away in the hurricane? Didn't they have a tropical cyclone?
I'm sure that with the size of that head, he would have floated.
The buoyancy?
Yeah. People might have climbed on there and actually rode it away. Simo, sorry, I'm just jumping on Briggs' jokes here.
Don't apologise to Simo. He probably saved hundreds of people, families. Families probably he saved. Yeah.
I did have a good night out with him and the other Terra Firma boys a few months back.
Yeah.
It was quite funny hearing all their old stories.
Yeah, they are intense individuals. Like, I remember them from back in the day, like when we were all out and about in Adelaide. You felt safe with them. If you're on their side, you felt safe with them.
I'd probably be able to just hide behind Simo.
Yeah.
All right, no more Simo jokes.
Yeah, I love Simo. Like, he was one of the original ones that helped me understand production. Like I was saying, he's the first dude I reached out to online. Like, how did you make this beat? That was a song I was obsessed with. That song they had on the Culture of Kings. That was my favorite song on the compilation. I love them.
It really seems like a lot of you guys coming up all helped each other so much that it was like a big family.
Oh hell yeah! Like it was crazy because because it was pre. I say we met on the internet, but it was nothing like it is now. Where yes, we found that community, but it just seemed so I don't know. It was just weird that we all found each other and that this thing existed. Like, who the hell was making beats then? There was a small amount of people, But Simo was one. Debris from the Hoods was another, where it was like, because we were using like I said, Acid, and we ended up using Cool Edit a lot was another one that a lot of people use. And then Debris was the one who introduced us to Logic on the Mac.
He's introduced people to a lot of different things, I reckon.
I
over
think
the
he
years.
has. He's had a huge cultural influence, you could say. But he showed, he was the dude. Him and Suffer, they were probably the biggest influence as far as like how you do stuff, like on Logic, and beat production and that kind of stuff. And we just kind of rolled with it from there because that was what we wanted to do. That we just it just went nuts from there. And even just the concept of recording, how to record. Baz was always, Debris was always the one who showed us like how to do it, what to do. Always very welcoming. We'd always be in his studio. So we were lucky to have that. And even and then when Flashy was our DJ, he was very technical minded with that shit. Like they knew what to do, and so we could just focus on the beats and that kind of stuff. And but it would have been fuck without them. Really, they showed us how to get started.
I'm sure you'll recognise this one. Some of these might be in jokes. Have you ever danced with the devil in the pale moonlight?
Yeah, I saw that was from T. I didn't understand exactly what he meant by that. I just think he's trying to fuck with me.
Just trying to fuck with
He's just trying to fuck with me. He's always trying to fuck with me.
Is there anything maybe you want to say back that you could fuck with him right now?
Well, see, I know that he's nervous right now that I'm here because, I know a lot about him that he just doesn't want to get out. And there's just a lot of things that I could say that,
He just got a shiver up his spine and he doesn't know why.
Yeah, and a tingle in his, what. Yeah. Nah, that's, don't know exactly what he meant by that one. Maybe it's a threat. Maybe it was a thinly veiled threat. Because, maybe he's trying to scare me.
Maybe.
Yeah. No, we were just talking about it last night, how we want to get into Dungeons and Dragons.
Really?
He's showing me that his kid's painting, doing Dungeons and Dragons at school, and I'm like, man, we got to get together and do that.
Yeah. We should talk to Pressure about that. I know he's a big fan.
Yeah, we could start our own board game night.
Golden Era Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah. Who would be the dungeon master? Don't you need someone who tells the story, the narrative, or something? I'm not sure how.
I've never looked into it. I'm a
nerd, but I'm not that big of a fucker.
Yeah. Well, you might be about to step in.
I might be about to step in. Yeah, because at the moment we play. Now and again, me, Hans, and T will meet up in the metaverse. Believe it or not, we've all got the VR headsets, and we'll play mini golf together.
Yeah, classic.
And it's fucking hilarious.
Yeah,
it is the best shit ever. Yeah, or bowling. Or there's darts, but darts is kind of boring. Even in real life, darts is boring. But we do that. That's fun.
Yeah.
People don't think we play mini golf, but we play mini golf in the metaverse.
Yeah, incredible.
That's what men do.
All right. When did The Walking Dead jump the shark?
I don't know. That's a Ben Martin classic, that one. Because I think it started off really good, that show, didn't it? Did you ever watch it?
I'm terrified of zombies. So
You're terrified of zombies.
Out of anything that potentially could happen, if zombies, because I can't do jiu-jitsu against zombies. I trained with a guy once and he asked me, he goes, how would you go in a fight with a zombie?
That's a good point.
And he got in my clothes guard and he's like, I'm going to pretend to be a zombie. And he literally attacked me and tried to bite me. And I'm like, bro, I'll just jump in off a bridge.
Because you have to stop the teeth. The teeth are going to get at you. If it gets on top of you, I'm guessing they've got bodily fluids that can leak into your eyes that make you a zombie.
Yeah.
Even if you because if you got him in a rear naked choke or something, his head might pop off.
You'd have to get under the chin because they could bite the forearm.
Yeah, but even if you get their head off, they're still alive. You have to shoot them in the brain. I think personally, zombies are the greatest monster out of all the scary fictional things. I've always loved zombies. Going back to Dawn of the Dead's my favorite movie of all time, just about the classic 70s one. I've always loved that shit. Walking Dead was started off really good, but it became a point, I think, me and Ben Martin were laughing about how it's just it got to a point where start of the episode, nothing progressed towards the end, to the end of the episode.
And they'd always just kill the favourite character off, right?
Yeah, well, that was like at least something happened. I think I watched it not long after that happened, where like one of the main characters died. I'm like, okay, cool. But yeah, then it was just back to the same old shit, where the start of the episode, nothing could be different to the end of the episode. So it's basically like, you know, Days of Our Lives, but with zombies. But yeah, no, they fucked that up. Classic that got fucked up. Just like, what other great ones did they ruin? Like Game of Thrones started off classic, maybe one of the greatest shows of all time. While they had books to copy, then they get to the final 2 seasons, and it's like, I wrote it. It's terrible. It's the worst show ever. Yeah, but to answer the question, I don't know. I stopped watching at like season whatever it was.
That must be a reference to Happy Days with Fonzie jumping the shark on the motorbike, right?
yeah. That's yeah.
How many lyricals in a spiritual miracle?
No, that's probably a very interesting and deep question. I honestly don't know. It's too philosophically deep for me to answer. Yeah. No, that's reference to it's a joke me and Pato have, that spiritual miracle is just that. It's just that word. If you ever said that, like, maybe stop. Stop, because it's like, they obviously rhyme. Just because something does rhyme doesn't mean you should rhyme it. And that is a classic example. It probably got said a few times in the 80s, and then it just should have stopped there. That's enough. Just stop saying that. And there's a few other examples of that. I can't think of any now. But yeah, that goes back to what I was saying, where we have that filter where it's like there's just certain level of cringy corniness that you can't toy with. Like, if you do it, stop. You just need to stop. It's enough of that. You need to move on.
It's quite interesting that he asked such a deep question for a guy who is utterly obsessed with Steven Seagal and Nicolas Cage movies.
Yeah, and his football team, the Western Bulldogs. He loves them too.
Really?
Yeah. We've got a funny relationship where we're not allowed to talk to each other in the off season. It's like we just don't send each other messages when the AFL's not on. And it started last week. I'm like, guess what time of year it is? We're allowed to talk again. We can talk football. He's like, yeah. Yeah.
Incredible.
Nah, he's a legend.
Now, I've got one more here, but I have been asked to ask you about Chopper Read and if you ever met him.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, well, there was I forget who it was, but they were putting together like a compilation album where he was going to be rapping. And the songs are out there. Like,
I've heard the songs,
like Terra Firma did one. And they just asked a bunch of people to like, I think the beats and all his lyrics were written for him, and he was going to put out this hip-hop album. We were asked to be a part of it. I can't remember what happened. I think at some point we decided that maybe this isn't the way to go. I don't know. But I remember, we had to go meet him. We were going to go get photos done with him. And we were in Melbourne for some reason, a show. And so I remember we had to go meet him at a pub in Collingwood. And we went to this dingy pub. It's just a classic suburban pub in Collingwood. And with the exact people you think would be sitting at the bar. And there's Chopper sitting there. It's like, fine, all right, that's Chopper. And we were there just to take photos. And, we were fucking pretty young at the time. And we've gone outside to take these photos. And the dude taking the photos was sort of like, oh, all right, well, maybe just stand there. Oh, maybe just stand on the grass. And I don't remember much about what we were talking to Chopper about, but I remember like he had us standing on the grass, and Chopper looks at us. He's like, "What are we taking photos on the fucking grass for? What are we, fucking fairies?" He's like, "Oh fuck yeah, I don't know, man." And we just stood against the wall and we took a photo. I've still got the photo at home. So the photo does exist. I can send you a copy.
I might have to get that.
It's fucking hilarious because it's just these 3 awkward kids standing with Australia's most well-known criminal, alleged criminal.
Yeah, storyteller.
Storyteller. Yeah. Cultural icon.
Yeah.
No, that was a fun experience. But yeah, I don't think we ever actually got around to doing the song. I honestly, I can't remember exactly. Yeah, but at some point we probably thought this is probably not for us. Might be a bit too serious. We're a bit more jokey. Haha, how you going? Yeah, but yeah, that was a fun experience.
Bloody chopper.
Yeah.
Could the Funkoars ever work in 2025, or did Golden Era become too woke?
Well, I don't know if it's Golden Era that became too woke or whatever.
There might be a bit of an in-joke there too.
Yeah. Well, I think they could. Yeah. I mean, I would never rule out us ever doing a song again. I can't see an album happening.
Don't do that to me, mate.
I can't see an album or a tour. I mean, look, nothing's impossible, but you know, I still talk to these dudes every day. You know, we're still very good buddies, and you know, we still like making music. We just, yeah, I don't know. It felt like, you know, in a way it had run its course. You know, like a lot of people, like a lot of the question that often reoccurred is like, where's this alleged album? You know,
Primo beat.
Where's the Primo beat? Where's the album? Leak it. And it's like I was saying, where we have this filter where we don't like putting out shit that we don't feel is great. I think it kind of happened like that, where, you know, it felt like we overcooked it in a way. Like, you know, we made all these tracks. I remember we flew to Brisbane, recorded all these, must have been 10 years ago now, recorded all these tracks, and like we loved them at the time. Had a lot of like, you know, people we love playing instruments on them. Beats were cool. But I don't know, it just felt like we overcooked it. You know what I mean? Like a lot of these tracks were cool. But yeah, I don't know. We'd get to a point where we're like, you know, let's release them. And then we just didn't, and something else come up, or, you know, or we'd just start something new. We're notorious for just starting something new because we're like, nah, fuck this, move on. Let's start something new. And I feel that's just, we're sort of a victim of our own scrutiny on ourselves, you know. And it's not to say that some of this may not come out, but you know, I don't know, it's hard to say. I don't think it's not. I don't think it's the thing that Funkoars wouldn't work now, because I think it would. We've always had a way to just be like who we are and be funny and, you know, fucking around. But it's, you know, it is a lot of work. Making music is a lot of work. You know what I mean? And we've all got our own shit going on. Yeah. So I mean, it's not to say it wouldn't happen. It's just, but you know, a lot of the shit that we did will probably not see the light of day. It's just, you know, yeah, overcooked. You know, and we'd so often go back like, oh, let's put another verse on this. Like, yeah, your verse is good, but I'm gonna rewrite my bit, and like imagine that times fucking 10 from everybody, you know. And it's you know, and then by then you've heard this song too much. You hear a song too much, you lose concept of what you're even fucking listening to. You know what I mean? It's a delicate balance, especially with your own music. You just lose context of it, you know. Yeah, and it was the same with the Primo beat. Like we paid a lot of money for this beat, right? Like a lot of money. In the 2000s, you probably could have put a deposit on a fucking house for the amount of money we paid for this fucking beat. And the first beat we got back off, and he was always cool. Like, you know, if you know don't like it, I can change, redo it, whatever. The first one we got was like, what are we supposed to do with this? I don't know about this. And we'd written to it. We'd got a second beat from him, and we'd written songs to it, maybe like 2 or 3 different times. And again, it was like, just felt like we were overcooking it, trying too hard. You know, where it's just not naturally coming out. And it would just be, I don't know, it would be a shame to put out shit that we didn't love. You know what I mean? Like the albums that we put out at the time, we loved. We thought, cool, this is good. We can't do better than this. With a lot of the shit we did in the later years was like, you know, we could make this better. We can make this better. I don't know, you overthink it, you overcomplicate it, and then it kind of dies. You know what I mean? So, yeah, like I say, could still happen. Who knows? But if it did happen, it would be new shit. You wouldn't be hearing old shit. You know. Yeah, because we still like making beats. We still like writing, and it's just a case because and it's a lot of the shit that we were writing at the time, that was our lives. Like, as hyperbolic and crazy as it was, that was us at the time, We're not those dudes anymore. If we were, we'd be fucking dead by now. Like, we did have to get our shit together eventually. We couldn't keep doing that shit. And I don't know, maybe living a healthier lifestyle is not conducive to absolutely chaotic, psycho rap. You know what I mean? Yeah. And we're not fraudulent in that way. We can't do it. Like I say, we were never trying to be a brand or anything. We were just us,
Yeah, I think that comes across though in the music. You can always tell, with some acts when they're faking it or they're putting on a persona.
Oh yeah,
they change hairstyles 20 times over 10 years.
Yeah,
and stuff like that.
No, we saw that many times over the years, and we'd take the piss out of them.
Yeah,
that kind of was fuel for us because it's like, we're not that. Look at the way we're dressed. We look like fucking scumbags. We look like homeless people on stage with no shoes and like the same jacket for 5 years. It wasn't us.
So one thing that I had this thing planned out, but now that you're actually on the couch, I'm like, if I get on my knees while you're on the black leather couch, that's going to look like we're actually doing a casting couch. But there was a common theme in the questions.
Yeah.
All our friends, from P, Ben, everybody wants to hear a solo EP/album from Seti in 2020 from, around now. Would there ever be a chance that we could get a EP or an album of just you rapping?
I don't know. Like, I've never been a solo dude. That's always been my thing. It's always been a very group-orientated experience for me, you know what I mean? Like, it was always fun. It was always hanging out with my friends, the friendly competitiveness of it all. It always felt weird to be doing it by myself. It's like, what the fuck have I got to say? I've got nothing to say, it was always to be done with friends, like me and T still talk about doing tracks. You should jump on this. You should do that. Like, look at this beat. We should use that. This conversation still happens all the time. You know what I mean? My very good friend, Fatty Few, legendary rapper from Geelong. Like, we're constantly sending, like, we should use this beat. We should rap on this beat. It's like, yes, I love the idea of it. But then when it comes to just sitting down and writing, I'm like, what am I going to say? What am I like? No one's here. What the fuck I'm up to now? It's boring,
I think a lot of people do though, I know I'm putting you on the spot. Some of your collabs though, like, Draft, Grievous, you've got so many over the years. There are so many bangers.
Yeah, but
maybe
they're
a collab album.
Yeah, see, that would make more sense to me where I'm working with people that I like. You know what I mean? Like, not impossible. It's just a matter of doing it really. Like, I don't know. It's a funny thing. Like, like I say, when you are sitting there, you've got a beat you love, you just play it, you lock in, the words come to you. You know what I mean? That's kind of the way I do it. And a lot of times when I sit down, it's like the words aren't coming. It's like, you got to find your voice, whatever the fuck that is. You know what I mean? And I don't really know what that is for me at the moment. I don't know. Like, sometimes I sit down and I'll write a bunch of shit, and then I'll go to it the next day. I'm like, this is shit. What am I doing? I'm not putting this out. This is terrible. But it might not be terrible. I don't know. We've always been such overly critical people of ourselves, and it's like a double-edged sword, because on one hand, it helped us bring out music that I can still listen to today and be like, yeah, that was cool. But it also made a lot of shit disappear, like, the last 2 albums worth of music that we will never put out.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Just because it's the way we are. It's the way we're You know, it's what makes T so good at what he does. He's not going to put out shit that he thinks is like not great. You know what I mean? So yeah, look, hey, it's not impossible. I still love making beats. Yeah, I think, you know, it might be a case of working with some people that I just really like, especially producers.
I'm gonna chop this up and I'm gonna tag all my favorites, and we're gonna see if we can get some comments going back and forth.
Yeah. I think, you know, I just need to challenge myself, try something different. I think, you know, because a lot of times I sit down, I'm doing the same old shit, you know, and it's not exciting me. I think I just need to try something different, maybe. You know what I mean?
Jiu-jitsu, maybe you can learn some wrist locks.
Write some rhymes about it. Yeah. Hey, who knows? Who knows? But yeah, no, I've got like people I know that, you know, I love that are just great producers, and you know, I would just probably. I need to simplify it for myself so I could focus on writing. You know, maybe do it that way, because it's like you can just get so caught up in your own beats, even so it just cripples you inside. You can't rhyme. Yeah. So who knows? Who knows? Question mark.
All right.
But I've been saying that for a long time.
Really appreciate the chat today, bro.
Hey, thanks for inviting me. I wasn't doing anything else this morning.
Excellent.
It got me out of taking kids to sport. You know? Yeah.
Well, no, I mean, if you weren't going to do it, I was going to show your boy more wrist locks so he can come home and get you.
Yeah. No, they are becoming a problem. I have to stay physically stronger than them because they're not scared of me. I was scared of my dad. He could just like yell at me and I'll be like terrified. They don't give a fuck about me. When I try to convey that fear, they sort of look at me and mock me, you know? And then, you know, like Mac, my oldest, he's like, you know, now that he's doing Muay Thai as well, he's like throwing kicks at me and shit. And I'm like, you know, I can still get him, but like not for much longer. Like, it's scary. I've got to try to stay on top of them. They scare me, those little animals.
Yeah. Keeps you on your toes.
Yeah.
Cheers, bro. Thank you.
Love you, mate.
Beautiful.